everybody, and welcome back to the Liberating Generations podcast. I am Regan Claire, and I'm here with my wonderful mother, Dr. Keesha Ewers. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Reagan. How you doing? How's school?
School's good. Yeah, just got through midterms and gearing up for some quizzes next week, but overall, it's been great.
Good. Regulating
Yeah.
that nervous system okay?
Oh, yeah. Doing all the things. Walking, meditating, eating well. Yeah. Lots of
Good.
cuddles with Sam.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So let's talk about the impact that trauma has on that nervous system and by default, the immune system.
Do you want to kind of give a little
Yeah.
overview of what you mean by that?
Well, it just strikes me that autoimmunity is on the rise still. So I published Solving the Autoimmune Puzzle, my first book in 2017, and it's still on the rise.
Right.
Yeah, it's
More so.
yeah, even more so.
Starting a lot earlier, even.
Uh-huh. And 80% of autoimmune diseases are diagnosed in women.
Yep.
And once you have one autoimmune disease, you have a 75% risk of accumulating more.
Mm.
So if you have eczema, then you're at risk for the 150 other autoimmune diseases. So,
Right.
and because if we don't get at the root causes of autoimmunity, right? If we're just dealing with symptom management, if we only deal with the organ or tissue the immune system's attacking, we don't deal with the immune system itself,
Mhm.
right? Then it keeps going after different tissues and organs in your body. So I always call trauma the missing piece of the autoimmune puzzle, cancer puzzle too, any chronic illness. And part of it is because of what we were just talking about, the nervous system dysregulation.
Right.
Yeah. And we talk about intergenerational trauma because we belong to two different generations.
Mhm.
And the way that our nervous system is patterned is based on genetics and culture. So how we were raised, imprinted, conditioned,
Mhm.
right? How we perceive things, our enneatype structure.
Mhm.
So our human design or astrology, our karma, like all of these things go into how we then create expectations about our world and then become disappointed when our expectations aren't met and send our nervous system off, right?
Mhm.
So when it's said, I mean, when I give talks for the Institute for Functional Medicine, I'm on the faculty and I teach doctors about adrenal and hormone health and how it's related to stress. And one of the things that I'll say from stage to these doctors is quit telling your patients to decrease their stress,
Right.
right? What are they going to do? They have a special needs child, they have an elderly parent that needs caregiving, they have a job they love, but it's super busy. I mean, someone that they love is sick, are they just going to throw these things away? You can't say reduce your stress. That doesn't even make any sense at all. But you can change your relationship to it,
Right.
right? Can change your relationship to it. And, you know, whether I have money or don't have money has changed dramatically from when I was in my 20s, how my nervous system responds.
Mhm.
Whether I'm in conflict with someone that I love or in a place of peace has changed dramatically from the time when I was in my 20s to now,
Mhm.
right? My nervous system doesn't get dysregulated in those instances anymore when it used to.
Right.
Yeah. So, but you guys were imprinted with the mother that taught you to become dysregulated.
Mm.
Sorry.
Oh, you're just doing your job of being a mom
That's
and
right.
yeah, giving
Messing
us
you up so you have
messing us up.
something to learn. It's my job.
Literally the parent's job. So you did it well. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. So overachieving in all things. So so let's talk a little bit then. Stress. I think we should define trauma. That's an interesting word because what do you think of when you hear trauma, that word?
Well, in discussing it with you, uh, it's anything that happened at an age where you didn't have the tools or the skills to integrate a circumstance
Mhm,
in a useful way.
mhm.
So now it lives in the nervous system. And so I
Very
think like
good.
what sets trauma, yeah, it imprints a neurological response. And so then the way that you perceive the world is that of which you're constantly looking for that thing to happen again. So then you're just playing out the same nervous system response over and over and over again, which ultimately eventually leads to disease. As you are releasing more and more cortisol into your system, seeing a fight or flight response, then you're breaking down your gut lining, you're getting leaky gut, your adrenals are imbalanced, you're having hormone issues. It's just a plethora of fun things that start to happen.
Downstream complications and your immune system starts to attack you. So
Yes.
yeah. Yes. And I want to back up a little bit because I want to put a pin in what you said there. It's trauma is any event that occurred to you at any point along the timeline of your life, including adulthood,
Mhm.
where it was an experience that you didn't have the skills to navigate,
Yes.
right? It overwhelmed you.
Mhm.
And Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, that's a natural part of life. And you get a call to action to go learn a new skill.
Right.
Fortunately, we're not actually taught that when we're small, that,
Mhm.
oh, good, this is an opportunity to learn a new skill, right?
Right.
These are things that happen in life naturally. They're supposed to. It's part of the loss of innocence. Boy, my grandchildren are going to be really, really well educated in this. So, apologies to my children. So,
We signed up for it. It's
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So there's capital T trauma and lowercase t trauma. So capital T trauma would be the things that we often think about when we hear the word trauma: sexual abuse, domestic violence, physical, psychological, emotional, spiritual abuse, neglect, abandonment, having a parent or caregiver addicted to a substance, mentally ill, incarcerated, dead, divorced, right? These are all big capital T traumas. Lowercase t traumas are all the rest. Any kind of heartbreak, betrayal, rejection, again, events that activate your nervous system and leave you in a space where you don't have a skill set that you can pull from or a context in which to put this event. And so your little child mind creates a meaning to go with the nervous system response you're having, which is not fight, flight, it's freeze
Yeah.
because we're not autonomous when we're children, we're powerless. And so we usually freeze.
Right.
And so that meaning and belief gets frozen in our system in relationship to the emotion we feel, right? The felt sense in the body. And then we create an adaptive behavior to go with that event and that feeling and that nervous system response
Mhm.
and the meaning that we created. So when I was sexually abused at the age of 10, the vice principal told me that it was because I was a bad kid. And so the meaning that I put with that is there must be something wrong with me. I must be, you know, have a part missing here. I don't understand. And so the behavior that I put that was an adaptive response for that period of time was I need to be perfect if I'm going to survive this. And
Mhm.
so perfectionism became my adaptive behavior to go with that meaning. However, when you get into adulthood, you outgrow that and it becomes maladaptive. So
Mhm.
clearly perfectionism, not a very tenable way to live a life. and I got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis when I was 30. And I had to then investigate all of my strategies from childhood and weed through them and heal the ones that were maladaptive. So rheumatoid arthritis became this amazing, wonderful event that made me have to sit still
Mhm.
and start to engage in compassionate self-confrontation. So trauma,
Mhm.
okay? This is a brain. And the part of the brain, this green area, prefrontal cortex, for those of you that can see video, I'm holding a brain if you can't see it. And it's not really a real brain, it's just a model of a brain, I should say that. And I'm pointing to the very front of it that is focused in the front part of your cranium. And this prefrontal cortex is actually not fully developed till you're 26 years old. So when you're making up all those meanings to your childhood events and experiences of heartbreak and betrayal and trauma and, all of the things that we go through day in and day out as children,
Mhm.
we are attaching meanings that are more related to the response of our limbic system,
Mhm.
right? Our amygdala, the parts of us that are geared towards survival,
Mhm.
who say, "Uh-oh, if the clique that I want to belong to just kicked me out, that's like being put on the outside of the firelight circle in early tribal days. That means the saber-toothed tiger can eat me." So there's an honest, like,
Yeah.
nervous system response of terror that will come with that, right? And then you'll make up a meaning, whatever that is, and have some adaptive behavior that you create with the state and stage of your mental development at the time.
Right.
Okay. So as our brains develop and we learn to become more, we let our minds become more visible to us, where we can see how they work, what the meanings are that we've created, which is not a brain function, that's a mind function. Then we have the opportunity of gaining freedom from those early reactions and learn to be more skillfully responsive, which is
Mhm.
very cool.
Mhm.
So it turns out that studies where not even capital T trauma, but lowercase t trauma, adults who mark themselves high on a perceived stress scale. In other words, they think of themselves as chronically overwhelmed. They can't keep up with their schedule. They have too much to do. There's no way they can get it all done. Those guys, in an fMRI scan, the brain shrinks in the front part, the
Mhm.
executive function, the prefrontal cortex. This is the part of the brain that actually determines if we're going to exercise, who we're going to hang out with, if we're going to budget our money wisely, if we're going to eat well, what we put in our cup, all of that stuff. If we're
Yeah.
going to be responsible, have integrity, be vigilant and diligent. This
Mhm.
part of the brain is necessary. If we're operating from child brain, there's going to be a huge part of us that's just like, I just need to survive.
Yeah.
I don't really need to have integrity.
Mhm.
Not many children have integrity.
Yeah.
They're always trying to skate out from underneath responsibility, right?
Right.
Integrity is really an adult learned behavior. It's a more skillful way of being in the world rather than just a reaction. So it turns out that on fMRI scans, if you think of yourself as chronically overwhelmed, this child part, the amygdala of the limbic system, grows in volume. In
Mhm.
other words, the part of you that says, "Am I safe? Am I okay? Am I going to survive?" And the adult part shrinks.
Mhm.
Just if you're so overwhelmed.
Oh my gosh.
Whoa. When I was doing my doctoral research and I found that study, I was blown away.
Mm.
And I realized that's when I started teaching we have to change our relationship to stress and quit saying we need to eliminate stress. Because actually, stress is good for us.
Yes, it is.
It's how we perceive it.
Mhm.
Right? So if you just go like this, you're never going to get a big bicep. But if you put a weight in that hand and then do this, now you're going to get a good muscle. And so
Mhm.
stress in the world is, I call it the spiritual gymnasium. It means that your character has something to work against to start growing integrity,
Mhm.
right? So, and responsibility taking, all of those things where we become more skillful and we go towards wisdom rather than reactivity. So, as long as we have that amygdala that goes off, uh-oh, am I okay? Am I safe? If we perceive ourselves as not safe, overwhelmed, then the brain will drop a different set of neurotransmitters than if we say we are safe to ourselves. So this is all based on perception, right?
Mhm.
Everyone wants to make it 100% about the brain, but it's not. This is about mind,
Yep.
right? So now we've dropped the neurotransmitters from the brain to the endocrine system that say, uh-oh, we're not safe. Cortisol gets released, as you said earlier, from the adrenal glands. If we keep doing that in perpetuity, we break down that little one cell layer thick gut wall, make ourselves have leaky gut. Then we start becoming intolerant to everything, not just disappointment,
Mhm.
but also the chemicals in the environment, the things people wear,
Mhm.
foods, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Uh, we become intolerant to stress. This is where mast cell activation comes in, histamine intolerance. Yes, there is a genetic component to this, but it's the perception of stress in perpetuity, chronically being activated, that sets that gene to express itself in that particular way.
Mhm.
And we
Which
get a
makes
big
you more
toxic load.
prone.
Yeah. Makes
Makes
us
you
more prone to chronic Lyme, mold, heavy metals. Like we hold on to these things, right? Can't break
Mhm.
down histamines. What, like in your meal planning business, you work with a lot of my clients that are autoimmune and people that find you through your work with healing addiction.
Mhm.
And some of them will eat, like they say, I have 5 foods I can eat.
Yep.
That's what we're talking about when we're talking about intolerance. It's a lack of resilience that permeates all the layers, not just your physical one, but your energetic body, your emotional and mental body, your spiritual body. You become intolerant and lack resilience.
What I find
EMFs become a big problem.
Yeah, I find so fascinating about this whole vicious cycle that you're talking about is that ultimately everything stems from gut health.
Yeah.
Everything. Serotonin and dopamine are created in the gut. And so our mental health, if we have a gut microbiome that is messed up, then our mental health directly suffers. And
Right.
we have a mental health crisis happening right now.
We do.
We do.
40% since the pandemic of Americans have mental health issues.
Yeah.
40%.
And those are just the people who are documented.
Right.
I would I would assume there are more than just 40%.
Well, the sale of alcohol went up, obesity went up,
Yeah.
addictions skyrocketed during the pandemic.
Which again, if your gut microbiome is suffering, then addictions are more the addictive brain is more susceptible to taking over.
Right. But remember, everybody, your gut, the breakdown, what we just described, starts with your perceptions and then how those perceptions hit your brain.
Mhm.
And then your brain sends messages to the body about what you're perceiving. So
Mhm.
at the end of the day, it becomes imperative to heal the way that you perceive yourself in your world,
Mhm.
right? Not just work on the microbiome, which is
Right.
where I think a lot of I I have people that come to see me that are so angry because
Mhm.
they've spent thousands of dollars on protocols and supplements with functional medicine and nothing has worked in their way of saying it. And actually, it's not that nothing has worked. I always tell people none of that has been wasted time, effort, or money because it's given you feedback.
Mhm.
It's information that by the time they're talking to me, they can give to me too. So
Right.
it's not wasted. All of it is you're learning something about yourself along the way.
Mhm.
And I always say, like, this last piece, this healing, the emotional trauma piece,
Mhm.
that has to get done. And I'll have people say, well, I'm working with two different people, limbic retraining and, uh, Annie Hopper, like these different things. And I'll say, great. And,
Yeah.
and we don't just want to work at that brain level.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going into more of your karma bank account. I always call it the karma of trauma. Like
Mm.
what is the fractal that has been created? And
Mhm.
sometimes, I mean, depends on if this is part of your belief system. You've brought this in from time before you were born,
Mhm.
right? And so we get to untangle all of that, which is pretty cool.
Right. And
Detoxing the karma of trauma.
mm,
Mhm.
yeah.
So then there's stuff to do with the branches of the tree, right? We always talk about the root, but like I wear this little Tesla coil EMF device called the bubble.
Mhm.
The guy that invented the Reich machine invented this. And I mean, it's on my website. I love it. When I get into my Bluetooth oriented vehicle and I'm inundated with that kind of signaling, I know that this has got a little bubble around me, and so it's not going to bother me. Like we have all of these cell towers. We have EMF that's bombarding us all the time.
Yeah.
And so it's important that we work on building the resilience of our own energy system to be able to withstand that. And then sometimes devices are really cool and taking supplements to make sure that your adrenals are stabilizing and getting your hormones balanced and
Mm.
fixing your microbiome. You and I had to treat SIBO at the beginning of the year.
Yes.
And, we were on that for a few months. So it's like those things also have to get done.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you are doing all of those things, but you're not starting to question your perceptions, then
Mhm.
it's kind of all for naught.
Yeah, or you just have to keep repeating it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the, I think, great utilities of psychedelic medicine.
Mhm.
Not ketamine where you get put in a room
Yeah.
with headphones and someone leaves you and then you go home, but when
Right.
you're facilitated
Mhm.
in a group setting, the right set and setting, and then
Mhm.
there's integration the next day, so you have really like
Mhm.
concrete steps about what to take forward. That is It takes you pretty far.
It's it takes you out of the conscious mind, the culture that we live in of being hard guarded walls up. And a lot of people who participate in these retreats for the first time, I mean, have never even accessed their hearts before. They don't even
Right,
know like the feeling. And so
right.
that's what plant medicine is so incredible for, is just giving you a taste of what you're capable of feeling like, and then using that as an anchor that you take with you in your daily life. Because it's not plant medicine that is the answer, right? That's not,
Right.
yeah. It's,
Not the active ingredient in your healing journey. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
But you get to heal some of this nervous system perception piece, and voila,
Yeah.
eventually your immune system calms down because a hypervigilant mind creates a hypervigilant immune system. So we always talk about like back to school. We're petri dishes, the kids are exposed to a lot of different kinds of germs, the adults that are with the kids. That's true. And if your immune system is robust, that won't matter.
Right.
So if there's a lot of felt stress, then you're going to be more susceptible.
Mhm.
Yeah. Going back to work on Monday,
Yeah.
if you're stressed, if you're calm during the weekend, so good. And then you start stressing on Sunday about the following day,
Mhm.
right? Is there a way to change your relationship to how you think about your work?
Or how you think about your life, how you think
Hmm.
about your free time, your time for self-care.
Right.
Yeah, it's not a chore. It's something that you get to engage in.
Right. Yeah. I love my work.
Yeah. You also are really good at self-care.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
am. Yeah.
Mhm.
What about a relationship breakup? That's very stressful. A lot of times people will get sick at that time.
Mhm.
Autoimmune flares often happen, colds and flus often happen after big stresses. That's no accident. It's not because some weird bug was present all of a sudden at that moment. It was because your energy system was debilitated
Yeah.
because of the inner workings of your mind. Remember how often you got COVID when you were at school last time?
Yeah, I was thinking about that so many times. Yes. Bubble.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You're so non-stressed now.
I know, it's not worth it.
We could look at I mean, there are some magic things that are in place in your life.
There are.
One of them's on the bed behind you.
Yeah, my pup Sam. Oh, he's he's just the best. I need to take him to school with me. I mean, it's just amazing. Yeah, that being in place is really nice. Also, the fact that like I'm not drinking over anxiety anymore. That's pretty good. The
Mhm.
I'm not actively putting a toxin in my body.
Yes, exactly. Not
Yeah.
trying to numb out from any feelings that are uncomfortable.
No, in the process of this, I mean, it's a hard process when you're so used to numbing out to any difficult feeling, when you have an intolerance to difficult emotions. Um, yeah, it's a hard habit to unlearn, but now, you know, it's amazing being able to just feel fully all of the vast number of incredible human emotions that there are to feel, and knowing that the hard ones aren't going to last forever. It's a blip in time, and being able to actually move through it and sit with disappointment, sit with fear, sit with anger, sit with frustration, uh,
Mhm,
and then just consistently bringing it back to spiritual practice and bringing it back to source is just it's been incredible. It's like
mhm.
I feel like I'm actually in the flow with the field now rather than like grasping and clinging and having aversion to and numbing to. It's pretty cool.
That's beautiful.
Mm.
Beautiful. Yeah, sitting with the emotion instead of creating a oneness with it.
Mhm.
So, if you contract around it and believe that emotion is you and it will never go away, then their fear will come up like, oh, I'll never be free of this emotion. Instead of just realizing it's just a state of mind that will pass through if you allow it to.
Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't have its own energy separate from you. You're the one giving it the energy. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful work.
Thank you. Beautiful work to you as well.
All right. So, everybody, for immune boosting, yes, you can take supplements. Yes, we have Immunocore on our website. It's fantastic. It will do no good if
Right.
you believe yourself to be unsafe and overwhelmed all the time.
Yeah.
So that's key, right? So come and learn, come to a retreat, come and learn, do the healing trauma through the chakra system program, some way of really starting to compassionately self-confront and engage with
Yeah.
yeah, how to work with these uncomfortable emotions. Yeah.
Mhm. We're here for you.
We are.
We're all on the grid. We're all a part of the team, the same
Follow
team.
us on social media, Taste of Liberation,
Yes.
Reagan's, and Dr. Keesha for Instagram and TikTok and Facebook for me.
Yes.
Okay, everybody. Until next time, be well.